welcome into Between the Tackles, presented by MyBookie.ag. Michaela Vernava here, alongside Doug Kide and Zach Cox. Doug, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Congratulations yet again on becoming a dad.
Thank you very much.
How is fatherhood treating you?
It's good. Not a whole lot of sleep, but it's very gratifying. Is that the right word? I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not on a lot of sleep. I don't really know what words mean anymore.
That's a good adjective.
How's that? Good?
That's great.
Good. Good word. Great.
Good is good.
Fantastic.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank
and
you.
Commendable that you're back so soon, but
week one
of the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Baby Olivia did really help out because her due date was September 25th, and she was born on the week where there's really not a whole lot going on as far as the preseason goes. So I had a week to kind of collect myself.
The last week on the podcast. Yeah, Zach brought that up, and I was like, "Yep, she's gonna be a daddy's girl already."
Yeah, tremendous
doing
timing.
you favors. Yeah,
just back for a Thursday night game, and then got the weekend to kind of collect myself.
Yeah.
Now I'm back.
Well, there was big news, of course, this weekend, and
yes, lots of it actually.
A lot of surprise cuts. Today, the team is out practicing on the field in the stadium, and there is a lot of behind us. They're setting up giant styrofoam Lombardi trophies, clearly revving up for the opener here on Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Our podcast set slowly further and further away from the actual field. By like week 6, we're going to end up being in the parking lot.
We're going to be in Rentham at some point.
Well, I like this new spot. We're on a ledge. But before we get into game preview stuff, let's talk about the news from the weekend. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett traded to the Colts for Philip Dorsett. I guess just initial reactions. What did you guys think of the move?
I was pretty shocked by it, just because he did play so well in the 4th preseason game, but I think that kind of facilitated the trade a little bit. The Colts even announced that it was one of the greatest preseason performances of all time, which, like,
in
NFL
guys. History.
Come on.
Greatest preseason
the
performance by a quarterback in NFL history.
Mind-boggling.
On the surface, maybe, yeah. I guess there probably haven't been too many players who have scored 5 touchdowns in a preseason game, but if you have to brag about the fact that you got a guy who had a really, really good preseason game, it's probably not the right thing to be bragging about. No. I saw the jokes on Twitter came right away of them raising the banner saying drafted a guy who had the greatest preseason performance of all time. So Colts are on the upswing from those days, but they still got a ways to go. Yeah, that
was brutal. As far as the actual trade, I thought it was good for the Patriots. Probably a little bit better for the Patriots than the Colts. The Colts get their backup quarterback for if Andrew Luck, isn't healthy for the first however many weeks of the season. But I don't expect Philip Dorsett to do a whole lot. I think the expectations should be tempered for him. I did a bold predictions column today, and I said that Dorsett would finish 5th on the team among wide receivers in both catches and receiving yards. So I think that Brandon Cooks, Chris Hogan, Danny Amendola, and Malcolm Mitchell all will have more productive seasons than Dorsett. But he's a former first-round pick, has tons of speed, and he's in the system for at least 2 years. So this is a trade that might work out for them next season. And if they kept Brissett around, in an ideal situation, he never sees the field again. So at least this is acquiring a player who will get back on the field at some point, or who will get on the field at some point and potentially help.
Well, of course, Cyrus Jones, here it is, time in our podcast for the sad will be the last Cyrus Jones.
It will be the last.
So we're going to have to fill the time now with someone else, but unfortunate that he goes down, especially we talked all last week about how without Edelman, what are they going to do on special teams? So do you see Dorsett being able to step in there?
I mean, it's possible that they try him there. He did do a pretty extensive amount of punt returning when he was at Miami in college. But since he's been in the NFL, he's done next to none. I mean, I believe he only had 2 punt returns in 2 seasons with the Colts. So the Colts obviously didn't feel comfortable putting him there. And Bill Belichick went on a lengthy spiel on his conference call last week about how he's not going to use a punt returner who he doesn't feel comfortable putting back there, who doesn't have extensive experience. Really, the only person on the team that fits that qualification right now is Danny Amendola. So I would expect Amendola to be their number 1 punt returner until or unless they end up getting somebody else, if they swing a trade, or if they sign a Jeremy Curley or somebody else who's still on the street right now. But yeah, Dorsett, maybe you see him tried out there a little bit, but I wouldn't.
It just seems so risky to have Amendola back there. Do you see them maybe going with a Patrick Chung, or who else am I thinking of?
I think Chung's even more risky because Chung's actually a starter.
Right.
I think that the Dorsett trade filled the returner need, because it added another body to the receiver depth. So if Danny Amendola did get hurt in punt returns, at least then you have Dorsett as the 5th wide receiver rather than having to bring, who's the practice squad wide receiver, right? DeMarcus Ayers.
Yeah.
And like, that's the other option. So at least it fills in there. And I think that Amendola, I don't know, it is risky though because he's got hurt 2 seasons in a row on punt returns. So
that's what I was just thinking. Patrick Chung would maybe just be more durable.
He is, but he's so important to the defense.
Your
hair is having a real hard time.
I am not having
it's a real balance.
Darn it, my French braids, I need them back. I don't have elastics. Anyway.
It's a balance you have to strike though, because I mean, you could think we're going to put the most reliable person out there and risk him getting hurt, or put a less reliable person out there and risk him screwing up, muffing a punt, making a bad decision like we saw that Cyrus Jones made last year. It's a toss-up there, and I think with this team, with how high their expectations are, I think they'll lean more toward risking Danny Amendola potentially getting hurt. Obviously, they don't want Danny Amendola to get hurt. He's going to be an important player for them this year, but I think he's the guy that fills that role right now.
From a pure analytics standpoint, I guess, like, if you have a guy, like you said, who you can't trust back there, you could blow a game doing that. You could flip the field position. You could blow a game. How many wins offensively will Danny Amendola actually contribute to this team? It's less than 1. So as far as how many snaps he'll be on the field, I think at this point it does make sense to have him be that guy. I still think that they might try to acquire a guy who they can depend on a little bit more and can be a little bit less of an injury risk. But for now, I think it is smart to have Danny Amendola be that guy rather than a guy like Chung, who is their starting strong safety. And if he went down, there could be some issues there on defense.
So it makes sense, the move, of course, and at least they are getting something in return for Brissett rather than just losing him for nothing next season. So I'm surprised. They gave up a 5th-round draft pick for James O'Shaughnessy, and then they cut him, and I think it was 6 teams picked him up on waivers. Why didn't they try to, or did they try to get something for him? That kind of surprised me, why they didn't.
Well, first, it wasn't purely a 5th-round pick. They traded a 5th-round pick for O'Shaughnessy and a 6th-round pick. So they really only moved down, it was like 30 spots. So I think that they probably should have gauged a little bit more interest in him, because you bring in a good point. 6 teams claimed him. So that means that there was a lot of interest in him in the league. I think that maybe it was them not wanting to trade him to a team that would have a lower priority claim, lower waiver priority claim. So I don't know. It is strange, though. I think that they probably could have got some value out of him, maybe a conditional 7th, something that they could have got from him.
I mean, according to, I believe it was Ian Rappaport that reported it, he was the most claimed player in all of the NFL. So it is a little strange that the Patriots weren't able to swing some sort of deal, like you said, for a low-round pick. Because the way the waiver wire works in the NFL is the worst teams from the previous year get the highest priority, which is part of the reason why you didn't see the Patriots claim anybody, because they had the 32nd pick. So if you reach out to a team that's maybe in the in the 20s or high 20s, maybe high teens, and say, hey, we got a player that you could be interested in. You're probably not going to get him if he hits waivers. Toss us a 7th-round pick. We'll send him over to you. But yeah, obviously that's not the way the Patriots went, which is a little surprising.
Do you think the decision to cut him and keep Jacob Hollister is not so much about O'Shaughnessy's lack of ability, but more so what they're looking for in that depth tight end and looking for more of a blocker type of deal?
I think no, because neither one of them can really block. But I think that Hollister had the better preseason. Neither one of them were incredible, but Hollister did have that first game where he had over 100 yards, so I think he did show more as a receiver. I think what this really came down to was that they didn't like O'Shaughnessy as much as a special teamer as they might have thought they coming into it, right? Because he was a core special teamer with the Chiefs, and then when you see them trading for Marquise Flowers, you see them trading for Cassius Marsh and Johnson Batamosi, that means that they wanted to upgrade their special teams, and the fact that they were willing to cut O'Shaughnessy, I think, tells me that he didn't show quite as much as they thought he would in that special teams ability, and that they would rather carry a guy like Hollister, who has more upside as a receiver, rather than O'Shaughnessy, whose real value was supposed to be on special teams, and obviously it just wasn't there for them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you saw this was a team that felt like it needed to go out and improve its special teams. With part of it, I'm sure, was all the injuries that they suffered during the preseason. Matthew Slater, Nate Ebner, Brandon King, Shea McClellan were all banged up at different points. McClellan's obviously going to miss the first, basically the first half of the season now with now that he's on IR. But yeah, the fact that they needed more special teams players and they weren't comfortable looking inward and maybe giving James O'Shaughnessy a larger role, yeah, definitely shows that he didn't quite pan out how they thought he would.
Yeah.
So your boy Harvey Longy makes the roster. So you had been high on him during the offseason and throughout the preseason. I guess which move or which cut rather surprised you guys the most?
For me, I think it'll be the same for both of us, and that's Ted Karras, because he was their backup interior offensive lineman last year. We were kind of waiting there late on Saturday to see who that surprise cut was going to be, because he could pencil in about 11 of the guys remaining, and there was one that was going to come down to a player who actually did contribute last year, and it was Ted Karras. They chose to keep Cole Croston over Ted Karras. Croston will be that backup interior offensive lineman this year. He adds some more value as a potential backup offensive tackle as well. That's the position that he played at Iowa. I had heard that scouts were high on Cole Croston. Croston had some impressive moments, a couple of them during the preseason, but still, Karras was a guy who you could trust as a backup center, backup guard, and for them to just cut him, they wound up bringing him back on the practice squad, which worked out for them, but it was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, in the moment, the Brandon Bolden cut was a little bit surprising, but then you found out pretty quickly that it was more of a roster management thing, because he was back 24 hours later when Shane McClellan landed on the IR. Yeah, the Ted Karras move was really the only cut. I mean, obviously the Jacoby Brissett trade was the most surprising move of the weekend, but yeah, Karras was definitely I had him penciled in on all my projections, so that was definitely a very surprising move.
And one other surprise was just the fact that they were willing to give up a 5th-round pick for Cassius Marsh. His contract is up after the season, so he's only guaranteed to be here for 1 year. Maybe if he left as a free agent, they could get a conditional draft pick, or a compensatory draft pick. So maybe it works out in the long run for them there, but. Yeah, it was just a bit of a surprise to see them trade a 5th-round pick for a guy who's kind of a special teams guy / maybe backup 4th defensive end, whatever he's going to be.
Yeah, do you see him maybe being one of those players that doesn't really shine elsewhere, but maybe improves once they come on to the Patriots and maybe being able to have a bit of an impact?
He could. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a Barkevius Mingo type where he comes and just plays exclusively on special teams. He played a lot on defense for the Seahawks last year, and obviously you have to be pretty good to kind of break into that Seahawks defensive line, which traditionally is very, very deep and very talented. He wasn't a superstar there by any means. I watched a decent amount of tape on him after the trade, and he's okay. He's okay on defense. Special teams is definitely where he's most talented, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that's just pushed completely over to special teams. I think you will see him as maybe as Doug said, the 3rd or 4th guy in some of these rotations.
Fun fact about Cassius Marsh, and I don't even really want to give this away because I kind of want to write about it, but Cassius Marsh, high school teammates with Nick and Nate Montana, Joe Montana's sons, Wayne Gretzky's son, and Will Smith's son.
That is interesting.
Fun fact, right? Oaks Christian in Los Angeles. So Trey Smith was a wide receiver. Wayne Gretzky's son, I think his name is Trevor Gretzky. He was the backup to Nick Montana or Nate Montana. I get them confused.
How old is Will Smith's son?
Well, his oldest son is born in '92, so 25.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought his kids were young.
Jaden Smith, son of Will Smith?
Yes, it was from a previous relationship.
Okay, that's what I was thrown by. I was like, wait a minute.
He has. Yeah.
My hair is really out of control. But anyway, that is an interesting fact, and I hear the music cranking up at practice back
It's
there,
not getting jiggy with it, though.
No.
Nor Miami.
No.
Nor Wild Wild West.
And at least it's not super loud like a sound check. But you can tell that these
Let that never be
guys
spoken of again.
Yeah, that was not a great day. But it is going to be lit, as they say, here at Gillette Stadium on Thursday.
They do say that.
Roger Goodell shall be in attendance. What do you?
As will 70,000 Roger Goodell clown towels.
Yeah, exactly.
Care of Dave Portnoy. I want to find one. I mean,
it is a good collector's. Yeah.
Locate one.
Yeah, Prez.
It's going to be a wild scene down here. I mean, we've seen all week. They've just been setting up different kind of sculptures and stages, and right now they're, like you said, they're constructing some large, huge, like 25-foot tall Lombardi trophies. They got some stages out there. I know they have concerts planned. Vince Wilfork is going to be back here doing a. We're on the concert stage.
Oh, we're going to. The producer's telling us
on the concert stage. So
there will be
a concert here where we sit on Thursday night.
There we go.
Vince Wilfork's holding a barbecue. I don't know.
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Get here as early as humanly possible.
Yeah, literally.
If you're coming.
Like, these Thursday night games are tough for traffic as it is. I'm going to leave Boston at like noon to try to get here on Thursday. It's going to be a madhouse. But yeah, I'm interested to see how many of those towels actually make their way into the stadium, because I believe they're, from what I've gathered from the Barstool guys, they're not allowed to hand them out in the parking lot or on Patriots property, so they're kind of going
How can you stop? How do they stop them?
I don't know. I'm not sure all the rules and regulations of it, but it's going to be very interesting for that moment that they show Roger Goodell on the Jumbotron.
There would be some smuggling involved.
Yeah.
Smuggling.
How do you think, speaking of smuggling, how is he going to get in here? Like
Roger?
Yeah.
The Raj?
I feel like they're going to have to smuggle him in.
Someone already made the joke that
Secret Service
there's like
style.
these giant inflatable Lombardi trophies. He might have just like hidden one of those. He's already infiltrated the building.
I want not that Roger Goodell needs a heel turn because he's already pretty hated, but I want him to just turn into Vince McMahon.
I think he's going to.
Just come out and just start taunting the crowd. Do a little bit of a little Gary Bettman at the NHL.
He kind of does that at the draft. Yeah, he's like, come on, let me hear it.
I want him to fully embrace it. That would be
entertaining
a way
for sure.
Even turn some Patriots fans into his favor. Be like, all right.
Yeah, I do think that he would be viewed more favorably if he did that.
Lombardi trophies.
Maybe like go to midfield, cut a promo on Patriots fans or something. That'd be awesome.
And we do know now where the banners are going to be, even though they haven't revealed the fifth one yet. But let's talk a little bit about what's actually going to be going on the field that night. There will also be a football game. So first of all, how do you think that Patriots defense will hold up against Chiefs offense, and especially the front seven specifically?
I think they'll do all right. I have high expectations for this Patriots offensive line this season. I think that, if everyone lives up to their potential, it could be one of the top 5 units in the NFL. So that's what they'll need to do against this defensive front. I think, Justin Houston is the best player in there, but they've got some other bodies in there that they have to be a little bit concerned with. And not only the front seven, but the secondary as well. When you've got Eric Berry in there, Marcus Peters, Bill Belichick kind of talked those guys up a lot today. So definitely a dangerous defense. Good litmus test right off the bat for Tom Brady and the offense.
Wait, did I misspeak? I said the Patriots front seven against the Chiefs offense, right? Or did I not say that?
We'll roll with this
but
one for now.
Anyway, I just was.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm the one with the lack
sorry
of
to
sleep.
interrupt, but
I
was like, is it you, my bad or your bad? I don't really know.
It's all good.
However,
we're easing our way into it.
Yes.
No,
either way, we're gonna get to both of them.
Yes.
So.
A couple things I noticed when I was going over doing a little scouting report of the Chiefs the other day. Chris Jones is a guy that not many people, I think he's kind of under the radar. Not the Chris Jones that was here, different Chris Jones. He, I believe Pro Football Focus had him as the 5th best interior pass rusher last season, best rookie. He's coming into his 2nd year. He could be a real test for those that interior Patriots offensive line, which was good last year, but probably not as strong as both of the tackles were. And then in the secondary, Steven Nelson, who was supposed to start opposite Marcus Peters, Marcus Peters is obviously one of the better cornerbacks in this league. Steven Nelson was pretty good. Whoever his backup's going to be is going to be a clear step down from that. Patriots have a lot of weapons on offense, especially at wide receiver, so I can definitely see Tom Brady picking on whoever the Nelson replacement is early in this game.
Chris Jones also was the guy who had the wardrobe malfunction at the combine, so don't Google that. Yeah.
How much of the Patriots' new tricks do you think we'll see in this season opener?
Maybe one, not all of them. They don't show their entire hand right away, but just as far as I don't know. It'll be interesting. We might see like a Brandon Cooks carry in this game or something. Maybe start out a little bit small there.
Yeah, I could definitely see a little early game end around kind of reverse thing, or maybe they'll just go wild and pull out a flea flicker on the first play of the game. I could see either way. But yeah, this is a game where it's kind of like what we saw this weekend in college football. Like it's a game that coaches have been game planning for months now. So I'm sure both sides will have something in their bag of tricks. I'm sure Kansas City's going to try to use Tyreek Hill in some unique ways. I know Bill Belichick said earlier this week he expects him to be more of a traditional wide receiver, I guess, this year than that kind of hybrid running back, punt returner, kick returner kind of thing he was last year. But they're definitely still going to try to get Hill the ball in some unique ways because he's probably the most dynamic person on that team and maybe on this entire field.
So how do you think the Patriots front seven will look against the Chiefs offense, and how much of a litmus test will this be for them?
It's also a decent litmus test for them. I don't think the Chiefs offense is going to be too overly high powered this season, but you know, I think that it's a good first test to get out of the way there, and it'll just be kind of interesting to see how the front seven is formed, or I guess we should say the defensive front at this point, because front seven is kind of a base defense term, which is something that the Patriots don't use that much anymore. But I expect to see a lot of Dante Hightower on the edge. I expect to see Trey Flowers kind of wreaking some havoc in there, and then interesting to see what some of those rookies will do. Harvey Longy, Adam Butler, we'll see if those guys play. They're both on the injury report right now, so it wouldn't be shocking to see them be week one inactives, but certainly a lot to look forward to, because there's a lot of questions, because we didn't see Dante Hightower during the preseason. So I think how he's used will kind of dictate how the rest of that defensive front will be used for the Patriots.
Yeah, the starting defense on Thursday night.
That's a ladybug.
That's
I hope you made a wish.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You're supposed to make a wish.
Good for me.
I don't think you're supposed to hit them off, though. I think it's only good luck if you let them fly away freely.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, like you were saying, the starting defense on Thursday is going to be one that we haven't seen yet this preseason, because Dante Hightower has not played yet this preseason. Very interested to see how exactly they position all of these guys. I do think we could see, if Adam Butler is healthy enough to play, I think we could see him maybe play a little bit more than he would usually, because it looks like Vincent Valentine might not play in this game. He's missed the last 3 straight practices, I believe. He's got a
highly doubtful to play.
Highly doubtful. I think he has a knee injury. So yeah, he might be out. If he's out, that would kind of slide Butler up the depth chart a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to see some of these guys, some of the returning players from last year, but especially some of the new guys in the system.
Dietrich Wise too, another rookie. He'll be in there as well.
All right, well, it'll be interesting to see and get things kicked off, and we will have you covered, of course, on NESN.com with all your Patriots news. This has been very fun between the
Well, I'll also say that
it's just in my hair. Where did it go? Oh, it's on me. See?
Oh, that's good luck.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
There he is.
What do you think?
What does the ladybug think? He thinks we should go to mybookie.ag for all your betting needs.
Well,
Look at him.
Patriots are favored by
zoom in on this little guy. Check him out.
8.5 on mybookie.ag, I think. I would lay the points on that one. I expect the Patriots to win double digits in this game. It is a big test, or it is a test for them, one of their bigger tests of the season, but I just think that they're going to win this game. They're going to win this game pretty handily, and I don't know. That's kind of my expectation for the game.
Speaking of betting odds, I took a quick look at the AFC futures, I guess you could say. Are they futures?
I think so.
It's interesting that the Chiefs were second in the conference last year. They returned pretty much everybody of consequence, and they're predicted as the 4th favorite to win the conference. Nobody really gives this team all that much respect, including us. I don't think anybody really expects this to be much of a difficult game for the Patriots. I know I put out a poll on Twitter the other day asking which of these games is going to be the most difficult for the Patriots this season. I didn't have a single person say the Chiefs are going to be a tough game. So I think they will. I think this team is better than people give them credit for, but it's interesting that they don't really they're very underhyped compared to maybe the Steelers and even the Raiders.
I do think it is a really good point that I agree with them being underhyped, and especially this Patriots team with the high expectations that they have coming into this season, and this being their opener. I feel like maybe that's why they're just totally kind of overshadowed by how good everyone expects the Patriots to look.
One other line that just stood out to me when I was cruising through mybookie.ag was Brady's over-under on touchdown passes this season is only 34.5, which, I mean, considering last year, what did he throw? 28 touchdowns last year in 12 games. So add in 4 more games, add in Brandon Cooks, add in the other weapons that they added this offseason. I would probably take the over on that one. I was doing a fantasy draft yesterday, and someone asked me the over-under for Brady touchdowns at 42.5, and I said, maybe slightly under, but if you're talking close at 42.5, 34.5 seems like a pretty good bet to lay the over there.
Agreed.
High expectations.
Yes.
Is the ladybug still on me? He flew away.
Yeah,
okay.
He flew away.
Well, darn it.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess that's a good thing and a good note to end on. Unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Were we talking about flea flickers earlier?
Ah.
We got a ladybug flicker over here.
I might have flicked
I didn't flick
ladybug
him.
as I was talking about.
He really scared me when he flew like right in between my eyes. I was like, whoa. But anyway, this has been a very lucky podcast. So with that, let's sign off. Later, guys.